Hello, hello, hello. We are live. I know we're going live a little bit earlier than we typically do, but we're trying new things. We're trying a few new things. So as you're coming in, a like is going to go a long way. We are talking about Corinth. How much does it take to purchase a home in Corinth? What's the salary required? What's the salary needed in order to get that done? Sorry, I'm trying to find the live stream to make sure that the audio is working correctly. So that's the mission today. We're trying to figure out, where is this? Being silly today. All right, so we're going to go on faith that you can hear me. So if you have, as you're coming in, again, a like is going to go a long way. We're talking Corinth. We are talking salary necessary to purchase in that neighborhood. All right, so it looks like I'm live. I don't see myself live, but God willing, you can see me. So if you can hear me, let me know in the chat. Corinth, Texas. How much do we need to make in order to purchase in that city? That's the mission for today. We're going to talk about real estate prices because we need a starting point. We're going to look at property tax rates because that's very important in Texas. Some of the highest property tax rates in the country, so we have to address that. We're going to look at different we're going to look at HOAs, we're going to look at different price points. We're going to really drill down on everything Corinth. So if you're considering Corinth or any city in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, you're going to find a lot of value in this particular breakdown. So let's continue. First things first, we need to understand what price point we're even talking about. If we're purchasing in Corinth and trying to understand the salary that we need in order to purchase there, we need a starting point. So we are here at altosresearch.com, or no, it's not .com, altos.re. So Altos Research, which is basically real-time market data up to the week. So oftentimes you'll get market data that's super outdated. That's not the case here. This is the reason that we go here. This week, the median list price for Corinth was $464,500, with the market action index, which essentially tells you is it a buyer's market or seller's market, hovering at 43. So in this particular instance, it's still a seller's market, and it's been a seller's market for quite a while. But look at a big, meaningful change from last month. Last month, it was in the 48 or so. Now it's hovering down to a 43. Now this number essentially is letting us know once it dips over to the buyer's market, that means that there is more inventory out there, which means that buyers have more options of homes to purchase. If it's a seller's market, they have the leverage. With the seller's market, there's not as much inventory, so they can get a little bit more choosy, a little bit more picky on the types of offers that they accept. So here still today in Corinth, it's a seller's market. So that's something to be very mindful of. From a broad perspective, everything is, of course, an individual level, but at the end of the day, it's good to know. Now, the reason that we're here at Altos Research is because I like the way that they segment the market. So there's 4 quadrants that we look at, basically matching what the median price is to the square footage that you could potentially buy with that price. So essentially, it matches price to the type of home that you're looking to purchase. So as an example, if you're looking for a 4-bed and at least 2-bath and need over about 2,500 square foot, well, on average, it's going to cost you about $440,000. Now, can you buy homes for less than that? Of course. Can you buy homes for more than that? For sure. But right now, it breaks it down into different quadrants. You have the top quadrant, which is typically larger homes, and it's going to cost a little bit more. And you also have the lower quadrant, which is going to be the least expensive, which in turn will most often than not mean less square footage. So it gives you a good range, good different price points and types of inventory to consider. So for our purposes today, as we make our calculation of how much we need to make in order to purchase in Corinth, Texas, we are going to go with this number right here, $440,000. That's what we're aiming for. Now, again, can we buy homes for less than that? Yes. Can we buy homes for more than that? For sure. But we need a starting point, and that's the starting point that we're going to go with, because oftentimes when we get calls, we don't necessarily get calls on Corinth about, hey, give me the most expensive home. I've never had that conversation. And if that's you, though, if you want to have a conversation on the most expensive home to buy, let me know. Gladly work with you. But typically we don't that conversation never happens. And also, we're not looking for give me the least expensive home in Corinth. Oftentimes, that also doesn't happen because we know that if it's the least expensive home in a specific city, well, chances are that it's going to require a good amount of work, right? So most of the families that we work with are not investors. Most of the families are owner-occupant families that we work with, meaning they're purchasing this property so they can live in the property, not rehab it and sell it. Which we work with plenty of investors as well, but for the most part, our jam is working with families. With that being said, $440,000, that's what we're shooting for today. How much we need to make, what does our salary need to be in order to purchase a home for $440,000 in the city of Corinth? That is the math that we're going to get into today. Now, before we do that, we're going to take one quick pit stop and show you what that actually looks like in terms of real estate. So oftentimes we see this huge number of $440,000 and wonder, well, what does that house even look like, right? We when we start seeing these big numbers out there, we don't necessarily know what that means. So I want to show you. I want to show you what that means. I want to show you the type of property that you can purchase for that price. So here you have all the homes that are available for sale, single family residences that are available for sale in Corinth right now. The lowest price home in Corinth at the time of this recording is $295,000. That's way different than the $440,000 price that we're going to calculate on. But I just want to show you the different homes that you can purchase. We're not going to go towards the least expensive one because that changes all the time. We're going more towards the averages. So you have two homes that are under $300,000, ever so slightly, but still under $300,000. Then you get into the mid 300s. So here you have a rehabbed home. Very clear to tell. You can also see another mid rehabbed home right there, 375. We're still in the 300s, and we're about to break into the 400,000s. You have another. This almost looks new, but it could be a rehabbed home. So here we have the average price point that we're shooting for, $440,000 to the nose, basically. That's the home that we're going to be making a calculation on. So let's see what the other homes look like. 460,000, 500,000, 510, 550, 600. So this is a type of real estate. Now you're still seeing some new construction in Corinth, although not as much as you once did, given that Corinth is getting very close to being developed out through and through. So back in the day, you could find new construction every which way. At this point, that's no longer the case. What a beautiful home. Check out that lighting. All right. So with that being said, let's get to the math. We are here for the math. We need to understand what we need to make in order to purchase a home in Corinth. That is our mission for today. So let me put myself back on the screen. Let me zoom in a little bit. And as a quick reminder, all that you're seeing on the screen right now from the Altos research and this max price calculator is linked down below. Go and check it out. Go and download it. This is for you to use. So all you have to do is once you click on the link, go to file, make a copy, and it's yours. You don't want to request access to this because you're going to have a view only mode here. Once you get into this particular file, which is the exact same file, you're going to have to go to file, make a copy, and download it to your Google Drive. You cannot edit this one because this is the original one. I'm not going to allow you to do that. Just as a heads up. Now also, I need to give a huge shout out before we get into the math of the creator of this max price calculator, which is Kyle Seagrace with the YouTube channel Win the House You Love. Go and show him some love. He is a phenomenal lender, but also somebody that we've worked with very closely over the years with. So go and show him some love. He is the creator of this tool that we use. We use this tool every single day with our clients, every single day. So we're living and breathing this stuff. With that being said, let's get going. Corinth, Texas, $440,000. That is the price that we're aiming for. So how much do we need to make in order to purchase that? So we are going to take several factors into consideration. What our current finances are, and what the current market is doing. And we're going to meet those together to make a financial baby. So essentially, what are our finances and what is the market doing right now. So you're going to know your finances, so that's what you're going to bring to the equation, and I'm going to show you where to go and get the market information so you can plug that in regardless if you're watching this right now. And if you're watching this live, let me know in the comment section live. That would be very helpful. Or if you're watching this a year from now, the process is going to be the same. So down payment, we're going to go with 5% down payment. Now, can you do more? Yes. Can you do less? Yes, absolutely. It's going to depend on the loan that you pursue. But there's various types of loan products out there, but whenever you purchase a home, most of the loan products are going to ask for some money down. So a down payment. Most of us understand what that looks like. Now, what we might not understand are the requirements for the down payment or the minimum down payments. If you get a conventional loan, which is the very common type of loan that you're going to hear about from your lender, if you get a minimum down payment, if you get a conventional loan, you're looking at 3% down as the minimum. You need at least 3% down. If you get an FHA loan, that is a different type of loan product. There, the minimum down payment is 3.5%. So those are just some minimums there. Now, again, you can do higher than that. You can do 5%, 10%, 20%. The down payment is your choice. Now, I want to address one quick thing before we move on, because we're not going to spend a lot of time in down payment land. 20% is there's a myth out there, and it persists today, and it's one that I knew, and this one that I felt, and I believed for years and years and years, that I needed 20% down to purchase a home, that I needed 20% down before I could go purchase a home, regardless of what the value of that home was. That is a myth. You do not need 20%. The reason that 20%, that number gets floated around so much, is because if you do 20% down in the purchase of your home, if you do 20% down, you avoid paying what's called PMI, or let me rephrase that, mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is going to be applied if you have a conventional loan and you don't put 20% down. Same way that if you have an FHA loan and don't put at least 20% down, you're paying mortgage insurance, which is essentially another fee. It's another expense that it's technically an insurance, but it's a fee that you're paying to the lender because they took insurance on you in the event that you do not pay back the loan, in the event that you default. So it's another way for the lender to recoup their money a little bit quicker. Is, long story short, that's what's happening, right? So up until, if you get a conventional loan and you put 5% down and you continue making your payments all the way to where you eventually become 20% owner minimum, 20% owner of your property, then that mortgage insurance falls away. You're done. And I'll show you what that number looks like. Now, if you get an FHA loan, so if you get an FHA loan, your minimum down payment there, your minimum down payment there is 3.5%. And if you continue making your payments all the way to where you do become 20% owner equity, own 20% of your property at that point, the mortgage insurance does not go away. So that's a big difference. Conventional, once you become 20% owner equity holder, or essentially you own 20% of the property, the mortgage insurance drops away. Under an FHA loan, that does not happen. That's a big distinction. All right, so let's continue. There's going to be some other parts where we kind of pause and do a deep dive, but I think that's good enough for what we need to do. Interest rate. Interest rate is going to change daily. What rates happen today are going to change tomorrow. So the easiest thing for you to do, regardless of when you're watching this video, is to go to Google and find out what the average mortgage rate is right now. So we're going to go to mortgage interest rates today. We're just going to go straight to Google and we're going to Google that. And we're going to say that it's a $400,000 loan. We're going to say that it's 5% down, and this is just ballparks. It's going to change. It's not, we don't have to be exact here. We just need an estimate. And if we have a $400,000 loan, 5% down, with an average credit score of 720 or so, we're looking at about a 7.346% interest rate today. By the time you're watching this, it's going to be different. So let me know in the chat if you're doing this and you're following along. Let me know in the chat what the interest rate is right now in your market. That's going to be pretty interesting to know, and you're going to be able to see the documentation of where it's going. So here over the last several months, you're seeing that it went up slightly here towards the end of May, and then it started going down a little bit further. And there is some expectation that by the end of the year, the interest rate's going to also continue to move ever so slightly downward, but we don't know, right? So that's the expectation, but the expectation that the interest rates were going to fall 3 times this year was set at the beginning of the year, and that didn't happen. So now that we know this number, again, this is an estimate at the time of this recording. You're going to put in what yours happens to be at the time that you're going through this. But for our purposes today, interest rates that we can count on right now is 7.346, which rounds up to 7.35. How long is your mortgage? 30 years is a standard. 30 years is, you can pay it long. You can pay it in 40 years if you want. You can pay it in 15 years if you want. But most of the loans are going to be a 30-year loan. Property tax rate. This is where we're going to really need to hone in and really explain this, because there's quite a bit to know. When you purchase a property, you're paying property taxes on that property. And here in Texas, you're paying a good amount of property taxes. So here in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, the average property tax rate, you're looking about 1.8% to 3%. That's the ranges. So if you live in Corinth, it's going to be a certain property tax rate. If you live in Frisco, it's going to be another one. If you live in Dallas, another one. Fort Worth, another one. So it's a whole range. Again, 1.8% to about 3%. That's the range that we're dealing with. So property taxes. You're paying them on the value of your home, the assessed value of your home every single year. They are among the highest here in Texas. They are among the highest in the country. So it's the 6th highest property tax rate in the country. And they're going to be different across every single city in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. Now, something that they do have as the same is the way that they're structured. So when you're looking for the property tax rate in any city in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, you are essentially looking for about 5 different numbers. 3 for sure. 3 numbers are going to be for sure. 2 numbers are going to be a case-by-case basis. So this means that you're looking for the city tax rate, so city property tax rate. You're looking for the county tax rate, and you're looking for the ISD tax rate. You're adding these together, and you're going to see me go live and actually show you where to get this information. So those are the 3 that are going to be constant throughout the entire DFW metroplex, regardless of the city. You're looking for the city, you're looking for the county, you're looking for the ISD tax, and you're adding those together. Oftentimes, you're gonna run into what's it's termed, the terminology is different, but you're either looking for a higher education tax, which think of community colleges, or you're looking for a healthcare tax. So think of it like Parkland if you're in the Dallas County. Those 2 numbers are also at play in many cities. Now, it's going to be a case-by-case basis. I'm going to show you in Corinth so you know exactly what it looks like. So we're going to go to Corinth, and very much the same way that I shared how to go and get the actual mortgage interest rates for today, we're going to go and put Corinth, Texas property tax rate. Remember, we're looking for up to 5 property tax rates that apply to us. Now, here's where the information that I just shared pays off a ton. Notice, if you had the task of saying, well, what's the property tax that I'm going to be paying for Corinth? And because this is the first time that I'm purchasing a home, or hey, I've purchased a home before, but I never really understood what property tax, where they came from and how they were assessed. You're not alone. So if you had that in mentality of like, well, I just have to find the property tax rate. Well, if you look for the property tax rate based off of this the first Google search, you're going to see, oh, okay, well, it looks like the tax year is a few years back, but it looks like the total tax rate is 0.00567%. Okay, cool. It's less than 0.5%, or right around 0.5%. That's not bad. Then you would come over here and type in 0.057 as opposed to, well, this is a holdover from the previous city that we did a live stream on Sunday, so that's not even the real thing anyway. But Then you would continue on your way only to find out that you're underpaying, under budgeting your property taxes drastically, because that is not the end all. You're just solved for one number. Remember, we're looking for the city, we're looking for the county, we're looking for the ISD, we're looking for potentially higher education tax, and also the hospital network. Those are 5 numbers that if we find them, we're going to add them together. So that number alone, it has friends. We got to go find those friends. So let's click through and see what we got. Here we go. Good job, Corinth. You're going to get a, let me see. They don't have a mud tax, so that's really good too. This mud tax stands for municipal district tax. Okay. Looking for anything else that we might be missing. We might be in luck. So check this out. These taxes, don't worry about these because these get added to the total Corinth. So this is essentially the city tax rate that we were looking for, that first tax rate that we were looking for. We also needed the county tax rate. So here we have this plus the county tax rate, and we need the ISD tax rate. So Corinth happens to be divided into several ISDs, Denton ISD or Lake Dallas. So most of you are going to go into the the Denton ISD. So we're probably going to end up going, you can calculate it whichever one you want. It's not going to be too different, but it is different enough for us to pay attention. So for our purposes today, we're going to add this, which is a city. We're going to add the county, which is this. And we're going to add one of these ISDs because you're going to go to one or the other. So those are the 3 numbers that we're adding. In this particular case, since I'm not seeing anything else, and typically you would see it here if this did apply, we are not being assessed a higher education tax, which is odd because they have NCTC up there, right in Corinth, which is interesting. So we're not being assessed that right now, the higher education tax. So again, think community colleges, and then a hospital network tax. Think of, if you were in Dallas, think of Parkland. So those 2 numbers I'm not seeing here, so we're not going to add them. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this plus this plus this. So give me 2 seconds while I get that done, which is going to be a very reasonable number that we're working with now. I like that. I like that. $1.87%. 1.87%. So this is among the lower, in fact, it's among the lowest property tax rates in the entire DFW Metroplex. With that being said, let me double check myself real quick. This is coming directly from the city of Corinth, as you see right here. I want to believe this to be true, but I want to see if there's anything else that they're not being as forthright with, which I think we're in a good spot. I think we're in a good spot. Denton County, City of Corinth, school, Denton ISD. It doesn't have one, but even if we add any one of these, really, I bet we're going to be in a good spot. Oh, this is dissolved. Don't pay close attention to this. I'm just kind of perusing right now. I mean, even if we had a water district, which I don't see one, we're going to be in a good spot. So this is correct. That's correct. We might be in a good spot. I feel comfortable moving forward with this property tax rate, which again is going to be among the highest in the entire DFW Metroplex. Now, again, those 2 other taxes that I brought up are usually present here in many cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. But in this particular case, there's those rates are not showing up, so we might be in a good spot. We're only looking at the city, we're looking at the county, we're looking at the ISD, and the higher education and hospital network tax are not don't apply to residents of Corinth. Good to know. Insurance rate. Insurance rate is an estimate. So we're essentially multiplying 0.75% times the value of the home divided by 12. That is the premium that we are estimating our home insurance to be. As home insurance continues to rise in cost, we are going to raise this estimate. In the very near future, we're going to be multiplying 0.8% instead of 0.75%. But that's going to be in the very near future. So right now, this is a reasonable premium to expect. And you're going to see this broken down month by month here in the following tab. But right now, I just kind of want to give you where the numbers are coming from. Mortgage insurance rate. Remember what we talked about here with down payment. If we put less than 20% down, we're paying what's called mortgage insurance. So if we put less than 20% down, we're going to be paying mortgage insurance, and you're going to see what that amounts to in the following tab as well. So for right now, we're just saying that it's a conventional loan that we're going to calculate. Oh, excuse me. Oh my. It's not even 6, guys. It's not even 5, and I'm already yawning like this. Good Lord. Sorry. And we have good credit, right? So, or have reasonable credit, which is our calculation that we're doing. Yearly HOA fees. Yearly HOA, I am going to put a budget in here, although Corinth is not going to be, it's not a city that automatically makes you think, oh, incredibly high HOAs. In fact, it's not a city that makes you think of HOAs altogether. But for our purposes today, just to be complete, just to be thorough, we're going to put $400 budgeted towards HOA fees per year. Most of the homes that you're going to look at are not going to be an HOA. So there you go. All right. So with that being said, let's start talking about what we bring to the table. Remember, as this breakdown goes, we're taking what we're bringing to the table, meaning our finances, and we're matching them to what's currently happening in the market, which is the real estate prices, the mortgage rates, the insurance premiums. Like, these are the things that are happening in the market right now. So we're taking our finances and marrying them to what the market is saying, and then we are getting an outcome. So now we need to add our finances to the equation. So for our purposes today, if we wanted to purchase a home in Corinth, which is the math that we're doing of affordability, if we wanted to buy a house for $440,000, let's just say we made $80,000 in this exercise and start building from here. So that's our yearly gross income before tax. Now, we do need to add our debt. How much are we paying in debt? And this is student loans. This is credit cards. This is child support. This is car loans. This is things that you're paying monthly. You're going to want to put them here. So name the debt just for clarity, just for you. Again, this is your copy. This is not mine. All you have to do is go to File, make a copy, and save it to your drive, and it's yours. I won't have access to this information. You would put your debt, and then also the minimum monthly payment that you're making. I know that sometimes we're paying a little bit more, or trying to pay a little bit more on student loans, so we can get rid of those student loans as soon as possible. But here we just need the minimum monthly payment to give you the most accurate number. Now, don't include groceries, don't include utilities, don't include phone bills. Those are debt. Those are expense. I'm sorry, those are not debt. That's expense. That's an expense that you're incurring. So that's already factored into the equation. We're essentially working off of what's called a debt to income ratio. There's a certain amount of debt that you can burden or shoulder based off of the income that you are receiving in order to qualify for a loan. Hopefully that makes sense, because I think I just word saladed that. My apologies. With that being said, you have $80,000 salary, and right now we're going to say there's no debt. We're debt free. We're in a really good spot. Now, if you have a co-borrower, whether that's a child of yours or a parent of yours or a spouse of yours or a friend that wants to go in and be a co-signer with you, so a co-borrower, you're going to add their yearly income here, name that debt, and the minimum monthly payment, very much the same way that you did up here. So you're going to be in a good spot. So what that yields us as a max price, so we go to the next tab. Again, this is accessible for you right now. The most that you can purchase based off of the scenario that we just laid out is a $330,000 property. So $329,675 to be exact, based off of the scenario that we just laid out, right? So we talked about the down payment that we have, the interest rate that exists today, 30-year loan, property tax rate, an estimated property tax rate, or pretty close to, an estimated home insurance rate, and so on. So here we're looking at the most that we could afford, the max price that we can pay for a property is $330,000. Now, here's the thing. Can you buy a home in Corinth for that amount? Yes, you can. Is that the type of home that we are looking for? No, it's not. We were looking for a $440,000 home. Now, again, there's homes under $300,000 on the MLS right now. I just showed them to you. So if that is under your, if that's in your plan, then, and you're making this income, then you're good to go. But we're solving for a $440,000 average price point here. So what we're trying to do is we're not trying to max it out. We're not trying to get this number to get to $440,000. That's not the goal, because the reason being is because here we're talking about maxing out what we can do. We don't want to do that. We don't want to put you in a situation where you are really, really stressed out, where every single month counts. Every single month matters, to where if you don't make your income that month, then you don't make a mortgage payment that month. That is not a position that you want to be in. So we're not shooting for you to get approved for a risky loan. We're not shooting for you to get into an aggressive loan where you're paying 59% of your net income. When we do our calculations here for all the other videos that we've done like 40 at this point, we try to shoot between a moderate loan and an aggressive loan. That seems to be a really good balance, a really good mix of where our clients like to be. Of course, some of us would love to be in the safe category, if we will. And these are all subjective. I get that. But oftentimes for the home that we're trying to purchase and our needs that we have, along with how much we're making, that's not going to always be feasible. So for us to make a calculation to where the $440,000, like this number, the $440,000 becomes filled in here, we need to make $600,000. I'm just giving an example. It's probably not that much. But anyway, let's adjust this. Let's just say we go to our boss and say, hey boss, give me a raise to $90,000. And the boss says, you know what? I've been meaning to give you a $10,000 raise. Here you go. Well, what does that do for our math? Well, it helps us out. It helps us out for sure, but we're still not at that $440,000. Again, we need that $440,000 to be between here and here, and we're not there. So we're going to go back to our boss and say, hey, that was really cool. I appreciate the heck out of you, but hey, can you make a little bit, can you give me a little bit more? I would really appreciate that, because I'm really trying to buy a home in Corinth right now. So let's just say now you make $115,000. And that $440,000 benchmark that we have for that Corinth home is right in here. It fits right in between the 371 and the 465. So for our purposes today, we can say that in our exercise, is complete. We need to make $115,000 in order to purchase a home in Corinth based off of the criteria that we have laid out. Now, if you had more money down, or had put more money down, then you wouldn't need as much of a loan, and you wouldn't need as much of this income to end up qualifying for it. But based off, again, off of the scenarios, a very realistic scenario that happens every single day. In fact, we had one just like this today. Not for Corinth, but for another city. It's happening every single day. So if you're making $115,000, there's a good chance that you can qualify for a home in Corinth and be in a between a moderate and aggressive style loan. So again, there you're looking at about 50% of your net income being allocated towards your housing expense. It's not it's where a lot of folks end up being, and it just depends on personal preference. It depends on risk tolerance, and everyone has a different understanding of what that is. All right, so let's really break down what the payment would end up being, where it goes to, and really understanding where the math goes. So for us to do that, to see what a $440,000 home in Corinth would actually cost us in terms of the monthly mortgage payment, I need to manipulate this number to be I need this number to be $440,000. So I'm going to take a break from our exercise, which is complete at this point, of $115,000. That's what we need in order to purchase a home in Corinth. Now I'm just going to get crazy with the numbers so I can push this number to be $440,000. So I overshot it slightly. Give me 1 second as I guess, test, and revise this. I can get a little bit closer, so let's try it. We're gonna say that this is $440,000. That's well, maybe can I get it just right? Just right. Can I do something? Can I do this? Can I do this? All right, that's even closer. That's better. $440,000. We're gonna pretend that that's even. Now, if we're gonna buy a house in Corinth for $440,000, our down payment would be about 5%. So that's what we ended up putting as down payment. So it'd be about $22,000. Our estimated closing cost would be about $11,000. So cash to close, how much we need to bring to the table, is about $33,000. That is our number. Now, what does that mean? This means that we have roughly a $4,000 monthly mortgage payment, which about $2,900 of that goes to the principal and interest. Principal is the amount that you borrowed. Interest is how much it costs you to borrow that. And $686 of that, again, of this total number, is going towards property taxes. This is a very important number to really understand where it's coming from. That's why we spent so much time trying to understand what is a property tax rate. You saw previous to me changing this number, it was around 3 point something. This was from Sunday's live stream from another city. I don't remember what city we were doing. It had to have been a C. It could it might have been Salina. Don't hold me to that, but these days have been a blur. It might have been Salina, so let's pretend it was Salina. But whatever live stream you see right below this video, that's what it was. Look at the huge difference. If you had a property in Salina, which would cost more actually, but if you had a property in Salina for $440,000, you're paying 3% in property taxes. Property in Corinth is 1.87%. So what is that? 55%, 60% of the taxes that you would pay if you were in Salina. That's a huge difference. So if you're talking about the same, if you're talking about the same property in Corinth versus one that is in Salina, as an example, that has 3% property taxes, well, you're paying $686 a month in property taxes in Salina, in Corinth. Well, if you were in Salina, that would be over $1,100. So the difference can be that huge. And if you're looking at the distances between the cities, it's not that far. They're about 15 to 20 minutes from 20 to 25 minutes from each other. Just something to consider. Homeowners insurance. This is, again, an estimate. This is where we took 0.75% of the value of the home and divided it by 12 to get our homeowners premium. Now, the premium can go up and it can go down. It'll depend on where the property is. It'll depend on how much coverage you have. It'll depend on if it's had claims before. It'll depend on a few different things. Mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is, as I say that, it's totally random. I filed a claim for hail damage on one of my properties, and I didn't hear back. Okay, sorry. Wow. Sorry. Hey, I better write that down before I forget. Mortgage insurance. This goes back to not having put 20% down on the purchase of your home. Now, if you can't do 20% down, totally understandable. It's a lot of money. That is okay. But again, I just want to, not pressuring you to get 20% down. I'm just sharing with you the differences. If you're not able to get to 20% down, I don't blame you. That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of money. But the trade-off there is if you're doing less than 20% down, you will be paying mortgage insurance. And this is what it'll be roughly. It's what ends up being per month. So for $200 a month times however many months you have that loan, then that's what the additional mortgage insurance is going to be. Now, is it going to amount to that 20% that the difference between 20% down and 5% down? No, most likely it won't. But it's important to understand where these numbers are coming from once again. Homeowners insurance. This is technically not technically, it is not in the monthly mortgage payment, but we like to show it here just so for budgeting purposes. How you're going to pay your homeowners insurance in most cases is at the beginning of the year, you're going to get an invoice and you're going to have a certain amount of days to pay that invoice. If you don't pay that invoice, the homeowners insurance will assess a big fine, and if you don't pay that, they will put a lien on your property, and good luck selling that property with that lien. Pay your homeowners insurance. It is vital. One thing I want to draw your attention to as you're in the heat of battle, as you're submitting offers left and right, this is a very brief, like a cheat sheet that you've already input all your numbers. You've already input all of the market data. Now you're just playing around with how much you can offer. Let's just say the property was $440,000 and you wanted to offer 5% less. Well, what does that look like for my down payment? What does that look like for my closing cost? What does that look like for my monthly mortgage payment? Now, if you wanted to offer 5% more, you see how much more it would be per month. This is a nice, very easy to understand, very broken down, very simplistic way for you to see if you're offering more on a property or if you're offering less. It does the math for you very, very quickly. Folks, I appreciate the heck out of you. We put a lot of effort in getting these videos out to you. If you found value in this video in any type of way, we would really appreciate a like button. And also, if you think somebody should watch this and get some education on mortgage payments, on property taxes, on moving to Corinth, please feel free to share this information with them. So we go live on Wednesdays and Thursdays, so make sure you're checking back with the channel. Make sure that you subscribe. If there's any value, I'm going to rephrase that. If there's anything that we can do for you, whether you're buying or selling, please feel free to reach out. We are working with clients all over the DFW metroplex, all over the state, and all over the country at this point, because we are licensed everywhere. Again, if we can be of any service to you, let us know. Outside of that, see you on the next video.